Once upon a time in a bustling city, there lived two men who were as different as night and day. One was a poor man named Joe, and the other a billionaire named Charles. Joe lived in a tiny, run-down apartment in a forgotten corner of the city. He worked long hours at a construction site, barely making enough to cover his basic needs. Despite his hardships, Joe had a heart full of kindness and a spirit that never wavered. He often shared what little he had with others in need and never hesitated to lend a helping hand. Charles, on the other hand, resided in a luxurious penthouse at the heart of the city. He owned multiple businesses and had more money than he could ever spend. However, his immense wealth came at a price. He was known to be aloof, distant, and untrusting of those around him. Charles had long forgotten the simple joys of life, being consumed by his relentless pursuit of wealth and power. One cold winter's night, a fierce snowstorm hit the city. Joe, returning home from work, noticed an elderly woman struggling to carry her groceries. Despite being exhausted, Joe helped her, walking her home and ensuring she was safe. As a token of gratitude, the woman, who happened to be a retired schoolteacher, gave Joe an old, worn-out book, saying it had brought her much wisdom over the years. That same night, Charles found himself in an unusual predicament. His car broke down on a desolate road, and his phone was dead. Not a soul seemed to be in sight, and the biting cold was becoming unbearable. Just as he started to lose hope, Joe appeared, trudging through the snow. Seeing Charles in distress, Joe offered him his warm coat and insisted on walking with him to the nearest shelter. As they walked, Charles observed Joe's tattered clothes and worn-out boots. Intrigued by Joe's selflessness despite his apparent poverty, Charles struck up a conversation. Joe shared stories of his life, his struggles, and the little joys that kept him going. He spoke of the importance of community, kindness, and resilience.